the Med-City movie guy. He's everywhere you want him to be.
Let's find out what the movies are for, the best movies are for 2017.
The movie guy, Chris McSannick.
Hey. This year, in my list, I'm actually leaving 2 slots open because I haven't screened the All the Money in the World yet. That's actually, I think, just now available to critics. And that's the one that they had to reshoot because of Kevin Spacey.
Right.
Which some people think might have been an overreaction because it wasn't a huge role to begin with. But they put Christopher Plummer in there.
My good friend.
Oh, you're friends with Christopher?
I had lunch with him once.
Really?
Yep, I was in 3rd grade.
Really?
He was playing a character in Somewhere in Time on Mackinac Island, and I was there.
Oh, sure.
And my dad did a PR bit with him, and we had lunch at the golf course. And he was really, 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 really nice to me.
That's one of those films that has a cult following.
Oh, my gosh, yes. Somewhere in Time. Christopher Reeve, James
Yeah, I
Seymour.
remember the movie, yeah.
Yep.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Well,
He seemed like a nice...
we're just getting started, honey.
Hey, okay. Speaking of cult films, I think one of the best films was a movie called, I don't know if you saw this. Did you see it? The Disaster Artist. Have you seen that?
I am about to see it. I just, watching the previews just killed me. I loved it.
Yeah, and so the interesting thing about that one is I hadn't seen the original film that they make fun of called The Room. Have you seen that?
I have not, which means I have to watch that first.
No, I don't think you do. Well, maybe you do. See, my son saw it. I didn't. And we both thought it was one of the best films of the year.
Is that right?
It's apparently this movie, The Room, is like mocked because it is such a horrible movie.
But it's so horrible, it's fun.
That's the rumor. I haven't seen it.
Because this is James Franco, right?
This is James Franco, who plays this director/actor, Tommy Wiseau, who put together this. He's a very mysterious character. Apparently, he's like, some people say he's from Hungary. He claims he's from New Orleans, but he self-funded it and all this stuff. So it's a very enigmatic character. But Franco does a great job. The movie, it's like the movie of making the movie, and it's a very interesting movie. And that's my point to everybody out there. You don't have to have seen The Room to appreciate this movie, because some of these movies you kind of have to see on a big screen. So if you saw the movie, for example, Dunkirk, which I thought was a good movie, in the theater, you might not think it was a great movie if you only saw it maybe on your laptop with one of the screens.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There are some things that are a grand experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the Star Wars films are a good example.
I was disappointed I was not able to get to the theater in time to see Dunkirk. It's a fantastic story. Historically, it is.
And you'll still think it's a good movie, but it's not the same as on a big screen.
Okay.
There's a lot of movies where they're okay on a small screen.
Simpsons movie. When they ran that on the giant screen here in town, I thought, really? That does not need to be on this gigantic screen. It's The Simpsons. But Dunkirk, yes. There are a lot of movies like that are that big experience.
And then the other one I think was one of the better films of the year, not the best, which some people have said, is Lady Bird.
And I just saw it.
Yeah.
Not the best.
And the thing about a movie like this, and I saw it and I appreciated the drama, like Laurie Metcalf, who's a very, very versatile actress.
Now, which role is she, the mother?
Yeah, she's the mother.
Yeah, she's brilliant in that role.
Yeah. And the problem with somebody like me reviewing this movie, maybe on on the surface, is that I was 37 before I finally got around to reading Catcher in the Rye, and my opinion of the main character is quite different than if I was 16 and I read it. So when you try and review one of these sort of coming of age films, it doesn't resonate the same way it may with other people.
And I will give this film credit. I expected a lot more laughs when I did laugh. There's a lot of laughter in it. I expected more because I love a coming of age comedy, and that's the way it was presented to me as, and it wasn't. It's more of a drama than a comedy in a lot of ways, but it did resonate.
Yeah. So
a day afterwards, I found myself thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, and she's great. Saoirse Ronan is a great actress. Another film that's I think one of the top films is a movie called Three Billboards Outside Ebbing.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense film. Frances McDormand, who's
always
Fargo,
good.
Woody Harrelson, and Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell's one of these actors where you've probably seen him in a few things. Maybe you can't think of him off the top of your head, and he always does a great job. And that's a pretty heavy drama, but it's very satisfying. A couple films that I put on all the way at the top of the list, which nobody else is doing. One is called Their Finest. Came out earlier in the year. And it's a sort of a British comedy during the 40s. It's a troupe of actors that make these propaganda films during the war. It's a really neat film. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, Their Finest. Definitely worth seeing. Another film a couple people have thought was a good one, not one of the best of the year. I think it is. It's called How to Be a Latin Lover. Have you seen this?
No, I hadn't heard of it either.
Oh, It's an amazing film. It's basically this sort of gigolo who's just kind of crossing the other side of 40. He's having a tougher time making a living. And Raquel Welch is in it, for example.
Really? I didn't even know Raquel Welch was still around.
Well, she plays like the grandmother of somebody. Anyway, it is a really neat film. So if you haven't seen it, Redbox, whatever, check it out. How to Be a Latin Lover. It's one of my favorite films. Another comedy that's a lot of people are calling one of the best films, called The Big Sick. Have you seen this film?
I know, but I've certainly heard a lot about it.
Yeah, that's a really neat film. So I won't say a whole lot about it.
That's on my list. I think you can get it now on one of the.
It might be on
streaming services.
It might be on
now,
one of the on-demands. It definitely it's out on rental. Yeah. Wind River is another one that came out a couple months ago. Came out just outside of what we call the awards season. This is Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen. They're basically sort of federal type agents. One's like Fish and Wildlife, one's FBI, and they're investigating a murder that occurs on an Indian reservation in Wyoming. It's a very intense film. It's a great film. Another one I like because it's one of these two hanky movies. I'm not ashamed to say I get a little teary-eyed in some of these movies, called Wonder. Have you seen this movie, Wonder?
No, but another one. I actually love to cry in movies, so I got to check it out.
Yeah, I saw a piece on, 60 Minutes, one of those type of shows where an actual child with this disease, and basically his life mirrored the movie.
Yeah.
And they did a really nice piece. They spent 3 years putting together this documentary piece about this, and I guess he made a big splash. He was at the debut of the movie. The kid was, and it's one of those I have to go see.
Because I guess it was based on a book Julia Roberts, I don't know, one of her kids.
But it's totally a fictional character.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the movie Mask, if you remember that from way back when. Yeah.
The only movie I ever saw that I like Sharon.
Sure, yeah.
That's when I first learned that movies lie. Because the kid, the guy with the mask kid, was the name Rocky?
Rocky,
He didn't like Bob Seger, but they couldn't get the rights to the music that he really liked, so they used Bob Seger in the movie.
Well, that's not consolation, because I like Bob Seger.
Right, but I mean, it's one of the first times I learned that, these things might not be honest. Okay.
Yeah, a couple others that I think worth mentioning is Woody Allen's film. It's called Wonder Wheel. Now, Woody Allen, obviously famous for his comedies. This one, there's not even an iota of a chuckle. It's a very heavy drama. You would never guess this was Woody Allen. Kate Winslet is in it. Justin Timberlake does a good job. And believe it or not, Jim Belushi. And this is a really heavy emotion. You come out of this movie exhausted. It's so heavy.
The funny thing is, Timberlake surprises me every time I see him in a film. What is it? New Kids on the Block?
Yep.
And I was.
Justin Timberlake was in sync. Come on.
In sync. Okay.
Dude,
I thought, totally dismissed him. But every time I see him in a film, I enjoy him.
I know.
Well, did you feel like this was like Sweet and Lowdown, where it was just a very hard and touching story about a musician?
Yeah.
Wasn't that same kind of thing where totally unexpected because?
Yeah, and maybe that, maybe Woody Allen's like, hey, I'm going to lay off, this genre for a while, or maybe he wasn't in a funny mood this year. I don't know. But this is why we talk about, you see these movie trailers, you don't really know what to expect.
Yeah. Right.
And but Wonder Wheel, it's not a great Woody Allen movie, but it's a good movie. It's a good drama. Roman J. Israel Esquire, this is a Denzel movie. I give Denzel an extra couple stars just because I think everything he does is great. I think Denzel could have saved Battlefield Earth, for example. That's how great of an actor Denzel is. So Roman J.S., I like that.
The trailers look fantastic.
Yeah, he's neat. And the last one I thought I'd mention is a movie called I, Tonya. Have you?
No.
Not a clue.
Really?
No.
So this is a movie about Tonya Harding, the skater.
Oh, actually, I saw her appear on one of the talking head things when they previewed this thing.
And it talks about, her mother seems like a pushy kind of stage mom type thing. And her life is a train wreck off the ice, sometimes even on the ice. So this is interesting because there's almost some comicness to it.
Well, how could there not be?
No, there is. But it's so that's kind of, I think, rounds it out fairly. It's definitely enjoyable to watch. Yeah.
But she was involved in the making of this movie, Tonya herself, I believe.
Well, they actually have a small cameo of her afterwards as well. So yeah, so it's just neat because they have, they say it's based on interviews and police reports and things like that.
And Nancy Kerrigan won't watch it. Never. She just refuses to have anything to do with it. And says,
yeah.
Remember when the movie Bodyguard came out?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry, no, Ice Castles. Okay,
another skate.
We had a bunch of them to give away on our sister station, KROC FM. And
The original Ice Castles or the remake?
well, I don't. It was about the time that Tanya Harding did the.
Okay, that would have been the original.
So we're going to give these away, but I don't like to just give away prizes. So we did when you hear the Tanya tones, call in, be caller 10, and the Tanya tones were someone going, thwack. Oh!
All right, the movie guy, Chris McSannick here on News Talk 1340 KROC AM, the top movies of 2017, and can't wait to talk to you again, Chris. Thanks a lot for coming in.
That's all for now. Visit my friend Chris McSannick, the Med City Movie Guy, on YouTube, Facebook, and at themedcitymovieguy.com.